My name is Chris Hednagi. I'm the CEO of Social Engineer LLC, the Innocent Lives Foundation, and the Institute for Social Engineering. This video will be an analysis, a non-verbal analysis. But before I get there, let me explain why we're making these videos. Right now, it seems like there's a lot of non-verbal experts all over the world on the news, on podcasts and shows, talking a lot about what they see in very popular videos. One of the things I learned in the many years that I've had the privilege of being mentored by some of the world's greatest, I've had a chance to work with Dr. Paul Ekman on my second book, all about nonverbals. And I've had the chance to be personally mentored by Joe Navarro. In both cases, working with these great men who have pioneered in the sciences behind facial expressions as well as body language, one of the things that I learned is you can see the what, but it doesn't mean you know the why. So just because I can look across the room and see that someone is feeling discomfort, showing anger, maybe showing a little bit of tenseness, maybe feeling like they don't belong, doesn't mean I know why they're feeling that way. To connect those two dots, I need to have the ability to ask questions. And many times when we're analyzing video that I wasn't present for, we just don't have the ability to do that. So I see a lot of causal statements being made when it comes to nonverbal analysis. What I like to do is make some videos that can help educate people who are enthusiasts who really want to learn more about this, to show what we can see when we really read the communication that's not happening with our words and what we can learn from that. So today I'm going to be analyzing a video from a very popular situation right now. And it's about a group of guys called the Try Guys. They started in BuzzFeed at 2014. These four guys, Ned Fulmer, Keith Habensberger, Zach Cornfield, and Eugene Lee Yang, all started as the Try Guys. And if I messed up any of your names, I'm truly sorry. In 2018, they branched off from BuzzFeed and started their own company, Second Try LLC. Their YouTube channel blew up. I mean, across all of their videos, 13 billion views. That is just amazing how popular they were. The premise of most of their videos is that they try things that they've never done before. And those things that they try are led by experts. One of their most widely popular series is called Without a Recipe, where they cook or bake something exactly as you expected without a recipe, and then they get to try it and judge how it tastes. This was so popular, it actually became a TV show that they just filmed called Without a Recipe Road Trip, and it's on the Food Network. Now, recently, one of their members, Ned, who was known as the dad of the group, he always had videos of his kids and his wife. Well, he was seen being very inappropriate and flirtatious with a female coworker. It was not his wife. The internet kind of blew up on this. The other three guys approached Ned to talk about it. He admitted to the affair, and they promptly removed him not only from the company, but then took the effort to remove him from the videos because this went against the morals that they decided to make their company about. Well, the internet, as we know, can be a very unkind place. And they blew up making rude and mean comments about the group of people that work with them and the Second Try LLC. So the three of them came and did a public statement. Now, before we analyze this, let me just say a couple things. Canned, planned statements could be really difficult to get true emotion out of. I think in this video, you're going to see a lot of true emotion. And that's why we like to use live, maybe press conferences or news reports when we do analysis. But the reason I wanted to use this one is because there's just so much raw emotion in this video. And I think it'd be a good learning lesson for all of us if we want to see what is being said without words. One thing we will not do is make any causal statements, right? Again, when I said you could see the what, not the why. We're not going to say why we may see anger or why we may see sadness, even though some of it may be pretty evident. Let me share the video now, and we can actually start taking a look. And what we'll do when we're looking at this is I'll be annotating on the video itself, and will be a lot of pausing. It's a short video, but hopefully we'll be able to all learn something from this. Before I even press play, let's just take a look at what we see right up front. We can see Eugene here. let me just move my screens around because they're kind of getting in the way. There we are. Eugene here, right away, we can see anger on his face. And that's pretty evident, as we can see that right there. We can see the glare in his eyes, a tightened jaw. Definitely the stance that he has really makes us feel like he's feeling anger. Whereas over here in Keith's face, we see a very soft, almost like the lowered eyelids, slightly downturn in the corner of the mouth here. This indicates sadness. So let's see what happens when we start playing this video.
Ned Fulmer is no longer working with the Try Guys.
Okay, let's start off right here. I know I said we were going to annotate a lot, but right away was Zach. We could see his hands. He did something. This is very self-comforting, and then right into. You normally would say this is a steeple, but this is he's latched his fingers together, hiding his thumbs. According to the work done by Joe Navarro, and especially if you want to see a book here, I'll rep it a little bit. This book is amazing, the Encyclopedia of Body Language. But he talks about how this is a high sign of discomfort. To hide your thumbs like that, you're showing a lack of confidence. And again, no causal statements. We can understand why they would be very uncomfortable right now. They're talking about a very difficult circumstance, a very personal circumstance, so we can understand why this would be very difficult for them.
By now, we're assuming you've seen the Reddit threads and TikToks and tweets and news articles. We want to give you a timeline.
Okay, this is interesting here when we see this. So what Keith is doing here, we call this eye blocking. We see this often in very intense, sad circumstances. Sometimes people at funerals will eye block, or under a lot of stress, maybe after an argument, people may do this. Keith here is eye blocking by doing this. So this is a sign of discomfort. We eye block when we want to basically, what it says, block our eyes from seeing things that are making us uncomfortable.
Of what's transpired and some transparency into our decision making. Throughout this video, there will be things that we want to say or go into.
Quickly, we can just kind of see again, we're talking about seeing anger here on Eugene. We can see that in the closed fist. We definitely are getting more of that anger here in his face. His eyes are definitely on a glare. We can still see that tightened jaw. So we're seeing a lot of anger here on Eugene.
Further, but as I'm sure you're aware, there are some legal issues we have to consider as we go through everything.
On Labor Day weekend, multiple fans alerted us that they had seen Ned and an employee engaging in public romantic behavior. We reached out to check on that employee. Ned.
Again, I'm pointing it out, it's the same thing, but you could see here, Zach definitely showing signs of sadness, the lowering of the head, the lowering of the eyelids, this discomfort sign here with his hands and hiding his thumbs especially. Whereas here with Eugene, we can definitely see a lot more anger. That glare in the eyes right there is getting even more intense. Again, we won't even claim to understand why they may be feeling this, but as they're describing the circumstance, we can see the difference in emotion from each one of them.
Confirmed the reports and since confirmed that this had been going on for some time, which was obviously very shocking to us. And we just want you to know that we had no idea this was going on. All of that information was
interesting. I'll back up a little bit here just so we can kind of see this. One of the great things I like to point out when we see something, like what we call congruent nonverbals. So the words that are being said match the nonverbals that we see. Psychologically, it helps us to trust the person that's speaking to us. It helps us to trust what they're saying as being truthful, because our brains are seeing matching signals from what's being said and what's being shown. And here, when Keith was saying that it was shocking to them, we saw his eyes open wide. When he said that they didn't have any clue up until they talked to Ned, he was shaking his head. All of these congruent nonverbals really help us to see and feel that what's being said is truthful.
This has been for you this week.
And thus began a 3-week process of engaging with employment lawyers, corporate lawyers, HR, PR, and more in order to make sure we were taking all necessary steps. From the jump, we were acutely aware of just how contrary this was to the values of the company we've built and those of everyone who works.
Okay, so we can clearly see Eugene here is very intense in the way he speaks. It matches the emotion that we're seeing. With Keith here, we can clearly see now this downturned lips, a lot of sadness. We can kind of see that similar in his face, very soft, whereas anger is very tense and tight. Sadness matches a very soft emotion. Things are downturned. Let's take a look at what else we see here. Okay, so I know we just paused, but look, Eugene had a moment of emotion where he paused to gather his words, and yet look at what we see over here with Keith. This is a very strong disgust. This is a bilateral expression where both sides of the nose kind of go up. We may see squinting like we do here. Sometimes we don't. Think about the biology of that, how strong this wonderful nonverbal is. When you do that, really hard to breathe through the nose. So normally we're disgusted at a thing, maybe something disgusting, and our body wants to stop us from taking in that odor or that sight. We may squint, we may close our eyes, we may close our nose. Of course, in this case, it's not something physical as much as the situation is being described by Eugene. We see a very strong disgust response here from Keith. Still, hands and thumbs being hidden, discomfort here from Zach.
Is something we took very seriously. We refused to sweep things under the rug. That is not who we are, and is not what we stand for.
We immediately removed Ned from work activities and engaged an HR professional to conduct a thorough review of the facts. We also opted to remove Ned from our releases pending the results of that review. Over a few weeks,
we see a few times here with Zach lip licking. Our mouths, our lips tend to get dry when we're under stress, when we're under anxiety. So we see him wetting his palate, wetting his lips. It helps with the speech, but it shows that there's some discomfort happening here also.
That's included removing his section from videos, digitally removing him from others, and choosing not to feature him in our merch throws. Honestly, I want to give major props to our editing staff for how deftly they've handled that.
One of the things I really want to point out that I really appreciate about these three gentlemen is even amongst this very intense circumstance, what's happening here, they took time to give credit to their team that worked super fast and super hard behind the scenes to take care of those editing. And we saw, even though Zach was the main one speaking, that both Eugene and Keith, when he was saying that, they both nodded in agreement. And that really shows a really nice leadership team, that they took the time to make sure that their hardworking people got credit, even though they're having to talk about this very difficult circumstance. Kudos to you guys. Really nice job on that.
There are several videos that we've deemed as fully unreleasable. You will never see them, and that is due to his involvement. And that's a decision that has cost us lots of money. We will not be able to recoup that money, but it's a decision we stand by proudly.
Okay, so a couple things. Again, as we're talking about the loss of money here, I'm going to just back up 1 second. You can see it right there. So as we talk about the loss of money, we again can see Keith with a very heavy disgust nonverbal here on his face. Eugene still showing that anger, as we said before. But something that is interesting with Zach, we saw this in the beginning, we saw it now, this laughter. It's a nervous laughter. I've heard nonverbal analysis before who will say things like, well, doesn't that show incongruency? Like, isn't he showing disrespect to the situation? He's taking it lightly. No, this isn't laughing at the situation. This is a nervous laughter as he's talking about how much money they lost, talking about the loss of this partnership here. This laughter is almost like self-soothing. We laugh to say, hey, everything's going to be okay, trying to convince himself of that. So let's not take this as any sign of not taking this seriously or disrespect. He's not finding this funny. We can almost see that just with the rest of his nonverbals. Look at this white knuckle death grip here, really showing signs of high discomfort. So that laugh was not a sign of comfort.
Proudly.
Now, we can't talk about the details of the review, but suffice to say, we found that Ned had engaged in conduct unbecoming of our team, and we knew that we could not move forward with him. So on Friday, September 16th, the three of us signed written consent of the members of Second Try LLC approving the removal of Ned as a manager and an employee. We chose not to rush into the announcement for a few reasons.
We can see the sadness here on Zach, again, self-comforting by rubbing his thumbs together. These things are self-soothing. Try to soothe ourselves when we're feeling high discomfort. We see them rubbing the thumbs. And we can see sadness here on Zach as they were talking about that. Whereas with Eugene, we can still see clearly anger in discussing the situation.
Namely, there are real people who have been affected. And while we consider this a company matter, there's just also a family at the center of this.
Now, we were always planning on a public statement, and we're working towards that with our team. But in light of rapidly accelerating speculation, we knew we couldn't wait any longer. We are obviously incredibly shocked and deeply hurt by all of this. This is someone who we'd built a brand and a company with for 8 years. We feel saddened, not just personally, but on behalf of our staff and our fans who believed in us.
I don't know that we'll ever be able to fully articulate the pain we feel at this moment. It's hard to rewatch old videos that.
Again, we see Zach here, that nervous laughter. He's talking about pain, and we can see it evident in the rest of his nonverbals. Don't let that laugh fool you, that nervous laughter. Again, it's self-soothing, trying to convince himself everything's going to be okay. He's not taking this lightly at all. None of them are, as we can see.
We love and are proud of. We're losing a friend. We're losing someone we built the company with. We have
Again, even though we're hearing words, we can hear the voice crack. That happens under intense emotion. When you're trying to hold back crying or expressing emotion, our voices may crack at times.
countless memories with. We just made a TV show together. I'm sure many of you feel the same way. It's weird. We're sorry that this ever happened, and we don't know what more to say.
There's also our staff of 20 strong who they just don't deserve the negative attention our brand is now getting because they didn't do anything. But they're
Again, what a nice call out for their team, defending people who may be getting some bad press now, even though they didn't do anything wrong. Really, these guys are models and handling this really, really nice.
They're our family, and they're some of the most talented, creative minds in the world, and our primary focus right now is making sure they feel comfortable and proud coming to work. The work they do never ceases to astound us, and frankly, there's just no world in which we could have navigated all of this without them. Now, there are videos that were shot ahead of all this, right? We're going to be editing Ned out like the new season of Without a Recipe, and we're working with our editors and finding creative solutions to the footage. And we also have some branded videos that we've already committed to. So when you see a video that's sponsored in a few weeks and you're like, oh, that's kind of weird. Well, yeah, it is kind of weird. It's just how things are, and that's why.
Just such differences, right? Where we see that nervous laughter here and the head shake and the anger here with Eugene. Such a difference in the two emotions.
Look, I get that when stuff like this happens, there's going to be speculation and gossip. And we ask that you respect the privacy of the family members and employees who may be caught up in this. We also want to remind you that the internet has a tendency to be a lot harsher towards women than men. So please, we ask that you exercise kindness.
Again, what a nice message from these gentlemen here. We know the internet can be a really dangerous place, and we know that people can be the judge, jury, and executioner of anyone that they deem deserves it. But what a nice message to say that it is more difficult for women. They do get harassed more, treated worse, easier on the internet. So how nice of Eugene here to call that out and make a plea to people to just think before you react, think before you speak. Really, really nice job. And we can see agreement. They were nodding their heads. So again, we see very congruent nonverbals here in this. Wonderful message.
Things will change here. What we hope is that within this, there's also the opportunity for positive growth and better videos ahead. But it's going to be hard. We
can see, again, we saw a shoulder shrug one shoulder shrug. And this sometimes means that someone's lacking confidence. Now, again, this is not about he's lying, he's not saying things. Right now, we can imagine, just try to imagine how emotional they are, how much this must hurt. We could see it on their faces, the sadness, the anger. So he's saying now he's trying to put hope out there. Things are going to get better. We're gonna produce better things. And that nervous laughter again comes back, but then a single shoulder shrug says, I really hope that's true.
And we imagine you have lots of questions, a lot more questions right now, and we're going to have more to say in the future. Just right now, we're focused on bringing the best content possible between now and the end of the year, and then figuring out what the future of this channel looks like from there.
That's it for now. Again, more to come. Some things may change. We are just sort of figuring it out all one day at a time.
Thank you for your support. We appreciate you. And we look forward to introducing you to the next era of the Try Guys ahead.
Now, as this video ends, we can see that they're trying to give some hope, positivity, but anger, sadness, we can see it clearly evident on their face. Okay, so again, why analyze videos like this? Nonverbal communication is an essential part of how we communicate with each other as humans. Being able to understand it better, being able to read it better, being able to decipher the things that aren't being said can make us excellent communicators, can make us better communicators, whether it's at work, at home, with our family, with our friends, just every day, the strangers that we meet. We'll be putting out more videos like this. So if you like this, please subscribe so when they come out, you can see them. Leave comments below, questions if you have. If you saw something that I didn't see, please notice it down below in the comments. Always open, we are always open to a family-friendly, non-confrontational discussion. What a great example we had here from the Try Guys and how to put a very difficult message out and do it with such modesty and caring for their people. So I hope you learned something on this video. You can check out our other videos here on our YouTube channel. And of course, keep in contact with us at social-engineer.com or social-engineer.org. Subscribe and like to this channel. And when more videos come out, we'll see you here next time. Thank you and have a great day.